This ghazal is called, I Find Only You in My Heart. O Mayhair, what work have you taught me that I have no work to do? You have given me such rest that I have no rest. You are angry with me, and I am angry with you, and still I find no release without talking to you. Oh, beloved, you have become stone-hearted in your constant harassment. Don't you have something better to do than this? I do not remember anything in this life of love. I forgot what was day, what was night, what was morning, and what was evening. At first, love was my life, and now my life is love. What should I do? Without restlessness, I cannot find rest. There are thousands of drunkards gathered at your wine shop's door, helpless in every way. Yet it is this which causes them to drown their helplessness, because of more and more wine. I am so tired in the path of love that my exhaustion is giving me strength. I am now doing that work which is not considered work in the eyes of the world. The world is now receiving a message from your silence, but it is not for those who like to listen to themselves speak. After years of journeying, what destination have I finally come to? I find you only in my heart, but your name is not on my lips. You made me quite useless to the world, and now it curses me. But I am happy that no one is blaming you. Oh, Bhau, what can I tell you about this life of love? The world knows my madness, but the condition of my heart is forever hidden to others.
I hope one day I can write one ghazal as beautiful as hundreds of thousands that that was written. The one who is both question and answer. O Mayhair, there is one thing I know which is impossible for you to do. Your infinite greatness is that you would never harm the worst of sinners. Why isn't the answer to every question in the ocean of your silence? How can any answer be beyond the one who is both the question and the answer? Your tongue is quiet, but your silence is infinitely active. The light of your silence speaks in 1,000 ways. Truth's tongue is always silent, for truth could never be expressed through words. One who drowns in the ocean of silence becomes incomparable. Your slave's only concern is serving you and nothing else. If you want to know what real pain is, ask those who serve you. What do the lovers at your threshold have to do with the intellect? They have no concern with questions, union, examples, or glory. You made my heart ill and then left. What care do you have for me? Oh, Bhau, he never even asked me. Tell me, how do you feel?
In 1952, a young man of about 27 years old, by my reckoning anyway, if I'm wrong on any of these details, you can correct me when you come up, stood in a long line and first came in front of Meher Baba. Baba gave him a banana, which he promptly ate, skin and all. A year later, he came to live with Baba, He began as a sort of a lowly production assistant, working in whichever way he could, and eventually rose to the lofty position of night watchman, which, when you're serving the avatar, is indeed a lofty position. He spent thousands of nights in the company of Baba, just him and Baba, and some great stories arise from those nights, which maybe he'll tell us some tonight. He also would often handle correspondence for Baba. He had myriad duties. Today, 20 years ago, he started coming to the West and has come to LA many, many times over the years. I believe it's like 17 or 18 visits or something. I think there was 1 year maybe that he didn't come. And today he is 80 years old. He's still going strong, despite having all sorts of physical ailments, but his soul and his mind and his vigor remain strong. And his love for Baba has never been stronger. He's a rock in his love for Baba. Today he's also the chairman of the Avatar Meher Baba Trust, and he has all kinds of responsibilities and burdens to bear in that role in India, which is why he rushes off to the West every year, because what he most enjoys doing is what he's about to do tonight, which is to get up and talk about his love for his beloved in front of an audience. And so we're very blessed that Baba has once again seen fit to deliver his great disciple. Baba named him Bhau, which means brother, and so indeed he is our brother, and we're very blessed to have him here tonight. So here's Bhau Kalchuri.
I know that there are certain questions, and of course they want the answer from me. So, Jivan Mukta, how much time is there?
Almost 2 hours, I think.
2 hours. So first hour,
We'll go till 9:30.
first hour, I will just talk about certain thing, and then you may ask me questions. I have come here not because I want to go and eat well and just have a comfortable life. But I come every year to just see you all, and I find that every year when I see you, I feel that you come closer and closer to beloved Baba. And that is my duty to see you all. You just everyone belongs to Baba. There is no one who cannot belong to him. Even the first class sinner, worst, he also belongs to him. And his love for everyone. It is not that he discards anyone. He cannot discard, because he is you. He is everyone. How can he discard anyone? How can he away from anyone? He is 10,000 times closer than our very breath. But this we cannot experience because each one has different mind, and mind exists in non-existence. It has no existence on its own. It exists only in non-existence. As the thing which remains in non-existence, how can it last? One day it must go away. That is a definite thing. But this mind, how does it survive? This is a big question. We never think of that. How the mind survives. Mind survives because of our deeds, our thoughts, our speech. Because the impressions we collect through thoughts, deeds, and the speech, and those impressions, they remain in the mind, and we have to spend those impressions, and that's why we remain active. We remain active and we know not what we should do. And because we don't know, we just go on doing different things which are not required according to the will which God had in the beyond state of God. It is that state where there is neither consciousness nor unconsciousness. That state cannot be imagined, cannot be understood. And in that state, there was no existence of anything, no creation, no water, no space, no forms. Nothing was there. But when the being comes, who am I? Creation begins. Creation begins, and who am I? This Him is there, and if we give proper response to unnatural, and third is non-natural. 3 types of impressions, which are the natural impressions. The deed we do in response to the Him, who am I? So the impressions which we create, they are called natural impressions. That those deeds or thoughts or words which we do, which does not in response with the will, they are called unnatural. And the third type of impressions, which are called non-natural, they remain in the atmosphere. When the creation took place, because of the Him, who am I? So the drops started coming out of the ocean. And coming out of the ocean, the drops also does not know. So we pass through all the planes in subtle world and mental world. Mental world first, then subtle world. And as I had told you during the Sahavas, that certain drops, they remain in the mental world and do not progress further. They are called archangels. There are other drops which make the journey. So from mental world, they come to subtle world. and certain drops, they remain stuck in the second plane of the subtle world. They are called angels, and they remain stuck in the subtle world, second plane, but they are doing the work. No consciousness, but they have the king, and king rules over them. That's called Indra. These angels, which remain in the second plane of the subtle world, are called angels, but Devta. Ravi is the person who knows everything. Devta, Dev, they call. And because in subtle world there is energy, so that energy is used for different purpose, just like water. So one is in charge of water, one is in charge of light. Whatever we see in the world, they are in charge. And the king of course gets the work out of them. And that king, who is that king? It passes through, the drop passes through all the kingdoms of evolution of consciousness. Just like now, as stone, vegetable, then insects, then of course afterwards insects, then fish, then bird, animal, and then human beings. So in these kingdoms, stone, what do we see? Stone does not do anything, just remains there. But we all say that God is everywhere. So God is everywhere. Without God there is nothing, only God exists. So God must be also in stone. So when God is in stone, so God is there, then mind is also there, energy is also there. But mind and energy not developed. And that's why stone does not move and you don't see anything in the stone. But God is there. And the same stone comes into vegetable kingdom. How? If you go to the mountain, what do you find? You find algae. And this algae on the stone, green. So, then of course, disintegration of rock takes place. And then it comes into vegetable kingdom, the stone. But in unnatural means, if you crush the stone, then of course that is not natural, that becomes unnatural. And it takes long time for the stone to come in vegetable kingdom. When you make it like cement, yes, it is a good progress. Because house, when cement you use, they are good. But it is unnatural. Unnatural process begins. And that's why the further progress of stone, then it remains stuck. same thing in vegetable. What do we find? That vegetable, of course, needs water, it needs soil, then of course it needs air, it needs light. That is in vegetable. What do we find? The energy start developing, but not the mind. And that's why vegetable does not make any movement. It remains in one place. It does not make any movement. Then when it comes in the form of insect, mind starts developing. Energy and mind, both develop in vegetable kingdom. But there is no movement because mind does not develop there. Then comes the state of insects, worms. Now here we find the mind starts developing. Soul is there. Soul does not need anything. Soul is soul. Soul is soul, soul is God. So God does not need anything. God only watches and nothing else. So mind starts developing, and that's why if you just find just to do catch hold of any worm, the worm runs because it has become a little bit conscious. So it runs. Then further, when fish form comes, more development of energy and mind. Birds, still more development. And then animal, more development, but consciousness remains in the progress. In the progress up to animal kingdom. And if the progress is not there, it is because of our scientific inventions, breeding, crossbreeding, chemicals we use. So, only at that time that unnatural impressions they are created. But as soon as human form comes, then what happens? Mind is fully developed and energy is fully developed. But what consciousness? Consciousness of the grass is fear. Grass is fear. So we are attached with the forms. We are attached with the space and the time. This Tony Greece. Where is your watch?
Right here, Bhau.
Every minute he just sees the watch, the time. Very, very conscious about the time, the space, and then time, space and forms. Attached with so many. Remains attached, very much attached. So we remain because our impressions are like that. And we just think that this is the world, very beautiful world. We go for sightseeing, we enjoy, very good. It is not bad thing. If you just go for sightseeing, I'm not criticizing. It is what is there in this grass sphere. Grass sphere, this is the seventh shadow of God. Seventh shadow. Two shadows of mental world, 4 shadows of subtle world, and this is the seventh shadow. Shadow of the shadow of the shadow. Seventh shadow, but God is infinite, so His shadow should also be infinite. mind which is very active, it is nothing but the shadow of God. Shadow of God, but I am so intelligent. I know this and I know that. What do we know? We know only the time, space and forms. There are 18,000 worlds, planets, where there are people, human beings are there. Scientists, they would find out at the most 2 or 3 planets. Not more than that. Because the mind is limited. And mind is limited. Mind cannot fathom the infinite shadow. In order to fathom the infinite shadow, we must have limited mind must go. But this mind, we think that, it is the, of course, the main thing. We are so intelligent, we can do this and we can do that. But it is the shadow. But it is also necessary medium. The shadow it is, but necessary medium to know shadow as shadow and God is God. Ultimately, this mind goes, and when it goes, then you know that only I exist. I was dreaming. We are just away from the dream. So this shadow, so I say 3 types of impressions: natural, unnatural, and non-natural. So these 3 types of impression, they are called prarabdha. Impression of the prarabdha. We create those impressions. Only natural impressions which are in response to the whim, who am I? When that search goes on, then of course you create natural impressions. But in human form, we remain stuck. We remain stuck because of the attachment with the forms, space and time. We remain stuck. First human form, when it comes, it is that state where of course we can just go into the subtle world. But the impressions of the subtle, the animal form, we take along with us. And that's why those impressions, of course, we go on spending. And go on spending in a way we should not do that. Only in response to the whim. But we don't know that whim. Everyone believes God is indivisible. God is indivisible, God is one, and God exists. And God, when He is infinite, He exists everywhere as one, indivisible. So He is not divided in us all. God is God. Only this mind, which is made of impressions, it makes the division. So we are dreaming. We are just dealing with the illusion, which does not exist. So then what happens when this stage comes and we just pass through this? After human form, there is no higher form. Human form is the higher form. So we cannot go to any other form. That is a definite thing. but we remain in human form and pass through sometimes poor, sometimes rich, sometimes king, sometimes beggar. We don't know, but we just pass through it. And of course we don't know. Because of the ignorance, we don't know why we are in this form, what we have to do, we don't know. Whatever we think that we should do, we do. Sometimes blind, sometimes you have good eyesight. So it always happens, different forms of human form. We have to take one after another, sometimes men, sometimes women. Remember this, Michael, you are a man now. In your next life, you will become a woman. Remember this, Tony, remember, next birth, you will just you will be in human form. But then in Bible and Quran, what do you find? You find that there is no reincarnation, right? There is no reincarnation. But reincarnation, God does not take birth, God does not die. So where is the question of reincarnation? So what we are seeing, it is nothing but the dream. There is no reincarnation, but if it is in the dream, and dream is false. So false, of course, it is not real. And that's why always we think, oh, whatever we have to do, enjoy the most. But God exists. Except God, nothing exists. So whatever is that, this is the dream. We are seeing the dream. And in the dream, of course, we don't know different things. At night, when you go to bed, what happens? In the bed, of course, when you go, you sleep. First, you pass through your consciousness, turns within. And when it turns within, then of course, first you see the dream. The subtle world, there are 4 planes. The first plane of subtle world, half of it is called dream world, or sub-subtle world, or astral world. So we see the dream. After that, we just go to beyond state of God. Sound sleep. Do you remember anything? Whether you are a man or you are a woman? You don't remember. Whether you have this body, you don't remember anything. You forget your house, you forget your children, you forget everything. That is the real state, which we have to find. We have to experience that state, where when you, every day we go to that state, but unconsciously. We just forget everything. Why? Because mind is not active there. When you are in sound sleep, mind does not work, does not spread these impressions, natural and unnatural. These impressions are not spent in sound sleep, and that's why you just remain rested. But then, as soon as this limited mind becomes rested, then the impressions there in the mind say, get up now, spend us. So again we come back to this world. Every day we experience this, every day. Different dreams we see, but sound sleep is necessary. Because now when the sound sleep, this limited mind is limited and it works and works, so it must need needs rest. If you don't sleep for 3, 4, 5 days, you will become mad. Because that sleep is necessary so that mind may take rest. It is necessary. Only how many hours you sleep?
4.
4 hours?
Yes.
Only 4 hours?
Only 4 hours.
So then 20 hours, what do you do?
Just enjoy life.
Huh?
2 hours for Baba, and the
2 hours for Baba.
in the morning, and then enjoyment all day long.
What do you do all day long?
Well, Starbucks, ice cream, read books, go sightseeing, go to movies, go to parties, go to concerts, theater, and then come home and just take rest and give Bob a little more time.
And you don't worry.
No, I don't worry about nothing.
Oh, how fortunate. How fortunate you are that you don't worry.
No, I hate worrying.
How do you get the money?
Why do you ask me those questions?
Very fortunate.
Yes, very fortunate. Yeah, very fortunate.
Even the king, of course, he has to worry about different things. He has to keep engaged for the work.
But I am better than the king.
Very good. You are the only exceptional one.
That I know of. The only one that I know of.
Good. Very good. So these 3 natural impressions in response to the whim, they work. They are created. Unnatural impressions which are become the obstruction for the progress of consciousness. And what is the progress of consciousness towards God? Just to know who you are. Who am I? That is the whim. So, unless you get the real answer of the real question, who am I? Then of course you just see the tree. And you just think that this tree is right. Good dream, I enjoyed. I was a king in the tree. And you want to prolong the tree because you enjoy the life. So you want to prolong. And therefore, suffering is illusion and happiness is illusion. Both are illusion. But which illusion is better? Happiness, everyone wants happiness. That is not bad. But do not forget God. Do not forget. You will have bliss all the time. If you just do not remain attached with anything. That gives more happiness and lasting happiness. But we get attached. And we get attached, so that's why our progress is stuck. So these 3 impressions, they are called the impressions of prarabdha. And prarabdha impressions, natural, unnatural and non-natural. Soon, Baba's book, Infinite Intelligence, is coming. Within 6 months, you will find it is out. And it is out, and there, of course, Baba has given natural and unnatural impressions. In his discourses, what happens? Baba has given natural and non-natural. And there is lot of confusion, and this, whatever Bhau says, it is not correct. In the discourse, of course, natural and non-natural impressions are there. But in 1967, when Baba was dictating me that book, The Nothing and the Everything, in that you will find natural, unnatural and non-natural. And now the book, Baba himself has written, that book will be out, where you will find natural and unnatural impressions. Non-natural impressions you have nothing to do, because you don't create through thoughts, deeds or speech. You just collect from the atmosphere. And because you don't collect through deeds, thoughts or speech, so they are wiped out. There is nothing, no problem. Only sometimes they create virus diseases. Virus diseases, so medical treatment is there. But natural and unnatural impressions, they cannot be treated by any medical doctor or anyone. They remain there, and it is for you to spend those impressions. So natural and unnatural. Then there are two other impressions. They are called divine free impressions or yoga impressions. Then there is Vidyanic impressions. Now yoga impressions, whether anyone has yoga impressions, then we are bound with this natural and unnatural impressions. We don't have yoga impressions. Yoga impressions are divine free impressions, are those impressions which the avatar, the Christ, are perfect masters. They have that impressions of universal work. So impressions of universal work, and then there is Vidyanic Sanskaras. What are the Vidyanic Sanskaras? So avatar has the circle, 10 circles of 10 circles, and in each circle there are 12 persons plus 2 appendix. Appendix 122. In first circle there are 12 plus 2. So what he does? He has this circle of 122 persons. And as soon as he takes anyone into circle, then what happens? He has to free their sanskaras. So he gives Vidyanic sanskaras. Vidyanic sanskaras are those who are given to the circle members, so your account is clear. Account of prarabdha impressions, they are clear, and they use those persons for his universal work. But they know not, because that veil is there. He put the veil so that you may not experience that. And that's why when I say that I am quite ignorant, I don't know anything, I am just a potato, and it is the truth. It is the truth because I don't know. Though my account is settled, it will be settled in one birth, second birth or third. but it will be settled. It is settled. I cannot create new impressions. New impressions not possible to create. And therefore, that impressions are those persons of circle he uses for his universal work. Now I tell you, in 1967, when Baba entered into seclusion, that was the last phase of his seclusion. So he would come in the mandali hall at 6 o'clock, and then he would see the face of every mandali member. Every mandali member, he would see the face. So everyone would come, they would be ready. But Francis, he was writing late, and Francis would not wake up. So Baba would say me, call Francis. So Francis, very difficult for him, and just like an old man he would come to work. Baba would see his face, and then he would say, now you just go wash and have tea. And we would be out, we would just close all the doors, windows and ventilators, and Baba would be all alone. He was working for 3 hours. What work he was doing, nobody knows. But he was working for all. For all. How you have come to him, you also don't know. You may say that I read this book or that book and I like that. This is the outer external means. But for that, you have not come. It is he who has brought you. Because he has worked for that. So, during this seclusion period, then second day, everyone would be ready there except Francis. And Baba would ask me to go and bring him. I would go, Francis, Baba has come. With great difficulty. Third day, when I went to him, this bloody avatar. He told me that he would come very late, but he comes as early as 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. So it was very difficult for him to get up. But Baba would see the face of every mandali member, and then he would work. What he was doing, I said that the circle members, he gives the work. He gives the work, but he himself does. He himself does that work, but that is the medium for him to work in the world. So, and they don't know. So he gives yoga impressions to them. Because their account is settled. They are not, they cannot create new impressions, binding impressions, they cannot. And that's why he uses them, he distributes the yoga impressions to them. So what he would do, after 3 hours of work, he would clap, and everyone would enter in the mandali hall after washing the feet, and then there would be 2 prayers. And then in 1968, Baba gave third prayer, Beloved God, Master's prayer, repentance prayer, and then afterwards the third prayer, Beloved God. And he would bow down to each one of the mandali. That bowing down, that means giving some work. They have no idea about that. No one knows. Everyone remains as a potato and nothing else. Because the veil is there. So no one, how can they know? And it is good that they know nothing. Otherwise, our ego, oh, I know this and I know that. So it happens, and that's why he keeps everyone in dark. What work he does to anyone of the mandali, of course, only he knows. Same thing with the perfect masters. He had only a circle of 12 plus 2. And these 2, why these 2? They represent the important persons. Just like 12 plus 2 in first circle, so money and Mera and money, they were their main thing, because Mera, of course, she was the one who was, of course, not knowing anything but her love. No one has any idea about that love. That love, and Baba would always say that Mera, and she was the queen. All women mandali, they were not happy because she was, in order to please Baba, she can do anything. She can do anything. Now, I just give one example. Money and Baba would eat in the evening. So my duty would begin at 3 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, Baba would ask me to go out. And of course, I would be out. And then Baba would eat all ladies' mandali. Now, what happens afterwards? I would noise in Baba's mandali, because he said that you don't go out, you just be here, very close. But the door would be closed, and I would hear the noise. Means Mera would say something, and money would weep and weep. I did not do anything. I did not do anything. Now I did not do anything, and she said, yes, you did this. You did this. And money was weeping and weeping. And then Baba says to her, just give this news to Eraj. He gives the news to convey to Eraj. Now I was sitting there at a distance, and when money comes, no tears, nothing, just smiling. And of course, she gave the message and message to Eraj, and then she went back. Again she was weeping, and because Mera said something. And I said immediately how she is changed. She did not show anyone that she was passing through something. I was very amazed. Now one night, when I was with Baba, he also sent me to Eraj with some news. But before that, he made me weep. And he says to me, now give this message to Eraj. So I saw money, how she came out, just smiling. So also I tried imitated money, and I gave that message to Eraj. And Eraj looks at me and he says, something must have happened there. He could know. He did not ask money because he could not make out. She was so happy that I am just giving the example. What you pass through, you should not express. You should not appear that what you are passing through. Different things would happen, and immediately Baba would say, just go and give this message to this one. And perfectly well money did. I could not do that. I was imitating. And then I found that yes, very difficult to remain natural in any circumstance, any situation. You should not show. You are suffering and suffering. When you are happy, how you appear. So in suffering, if you can appear happy, that is a great thing. That is a great thing, knowing fully well it is also a dream. Happiness, it is a dream. Suffering, it is also a dream. So how to show? But in order to know, His love is required. Without His love, it is not possible. We remain attached with different things, and it is not your fault. I am telling you, it is not your fault. It is not at all, because you are passing through it. But how fortunate you are that you have come in His contact. In His contact. And what you will gain, you will not gain anything, but you will lose. It is a losing game you have joined. Losing game. But this losing game, it is such that of course you go towards the reality. Towards the reality. What you lose, whatever you have, all this false self. So you are losing this false self bit by bit. Not as a total at a time, which is not possible. So bit by bit you are losing game. And when you have joined the losing game, remain like a warrior. Do not worry for anything. Remain like a warrior. You have joined the battle of reality. So don't worry about anything. This is the world of dream. Different things would happen. It happens in everyone's life. One has to pass through different things. But why worry? When you have come to Him, and you have joined His losing game, then why? You should not expect anything. You have to lose. How can you expect anything? You cannot. Otherwise you are not playing the losing game perfectly well. Yes, it does not mean that, I have joined losing game. I must not do anything. No, you should be, whatever is their duty, you must perform. You should not forget, you should not neglect. Duty, do your best. Whatever comes in your lot, you do it. But remember all the time that you have joined the losing game and my game is to find the reality. And then how brave you become. You will experience yourself. You will not worry about anything. Whether you get it or you don't get it. You don't. Yes, whatever is there, these busts who look like mad. But they have nothing. Even the king would come to them, whether he would pay respect to the king. That Muhammad you saw in India, he said, "Get out, mad." Always he would say. He would not care for anything, even the king, if he would come, or prime minister, or president, no care for anyone, because he was in the plane. So that attitude, of course, we must have. And then, of course, you will become brave. So today I told you about Yoga Yug's impressions, Vijnanic impressions, and Prarabdha impressions. Prarabdha impressions, I said that everyone has 3 types: natural, unnatural, and non-natural. So non-natural, don't worry about non-natural, because whatever we collect through deeds, thoughts, or speech, these are the impressions which we create, and we are responsible for that. Whatever we do, we become responsible. You are not responsible for non-natural impressions. They are easily wiped out. Don't worry about that. Natural and unnatural. Now, nature impressions, how we should create. The main thing is just to follow his wish. Just follow his wish. And that wish, if you follow and know that whatever you do, you are doing for him. So of course you are free from that. You will not create new impressions. Josh, did you bring the book of Baba's wish?
Yes.
Read it again and again every time, because they must remember.
My wish. Baba said the lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. Number 1, do not shirk your responsibilities. Number 2, attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but keep always in the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. 3, when you feel happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. 4, be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely Baba has placed me in this situation. 5, with the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. Number 6, I say with my divine authority to each and all, that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments.
Whatever you do, and even if you remember him in your last moment, of course you go to him. You go to him, but it is very difficult to remember him in last moment. Very difficult.